Hi, I'm Christy Rost. I've always been a fan of butternut squash. Roasted, steamed, or pureed, it lends an earthy sweetness to side dishes, pies, and soups. Today, I'm making roasted butternut squash potage. Potage is a French word for a slightly thickened soup that has usually cream added to it. And the way I began was I took a butternut squash, sliced it in half, scooped out all the seeds, and then turned it face down on a baking sheet covered with parchment paper. Roast that at 400 degrees for about 50 to 55 minutes until the pulp is knife tender. Then let it cool. At that point, you can begin scooping all of the pulp out of both halves of the butternut squash and put them in a food processor. Then puree this mixture until the butternut squash is nice and smooth. Once the squash is pureed, preheat a large stock pot over low heat and add in 2 tablespoons of butter. Stir in 1 cup of onion. This is sweet onion, and I have it chopped pretty fine. And saute for a couple of minutes until the onion softens. Then stir in 3 cloves of garlic. Once the onion and the garlic have softened, then stir in 5½ cups of vegetable broth. And then add in the pureed squash. Now you're going to raise the heat and bring this to a low boil and cook that for just a few minutes. Then lower the heat, cover it up, let it come to a simmer, and cook for about 25 to 30 minutes. Right before I do that, I'm going to add in my spices. So I have some curry powder, 1½ teaspoons. I have a ½ teaspoon of kosher salt, or you could use sea salt, and just a whisper of white pepper, about 1/8 of a teaspoon. Stir this, raise my heat, and I'm going to cover it and let it cook. Once the soup mixture has cooked for 25 minutes, then you want to set it aside and let it cool until it is just lukewarm. This is really important because when you use a blender or a Vitamix like this, if the soup mixture is hot, pressure builds up and the top may explode out. You could get burned. So always work with lukewarm liquids. So I've poured all of my soup into a clean pot after it's been pureed, and I'm turning up the heat to about medium, and I'm going to reheat this. I'm adding in 1 cup of heavy cream. This is going to add richness to the soup. I bring this to a low boil, let it cook for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then it's ready to serve. I'll garnish with either sour cream or a crème fraiche if you want to really make it look gorgeous in the bowl, and then it's ready to serve. Roasted butternut squash potage. What could be tastier on a cold winter day as a main course or an elegant starter? Rich and creamy with a hint of spice. Don't be surprised if you hear, "May I have more, please?" Take care, stay safe, find the joy.